Okay, so it's about 8:40 in the morning here. There's like a really light drizzle coming down. I think it's supposed to snow today, maybe. Eric and I are headed to our storage shed. We got up super early, got everything ready. This is what it looks like here at this time. It just started getting light probably about 30 minutes ago, but the sun's not gonna rise for over another hour. And we're down to about, this is the moon. We're down to about 5 hours, 6 hours a day. We're at 6 hours a day. Days are getting a little bit shorter.
Hi, pardon the mess. We gotta see if we can get some stuff. I think we're looking for our skinning knives, which are in here. Oh, there they are. And we got these awesome knives last year, and they're the Havalon, and they have the replaceable blades. So we highly recommend these. These things are awesome. Anyways, we got 2 in here. See if we can find them, and we'll bring them back to the house. All right, so we're eating some oatmeal for breakfast. Anyways, last night we kind of scored. We ended up randomly getting some game meat for free from a lady that lived down the road that was freezer burnt. So we got some caribou, elk, deer, and some fish. And today we are going to kind of package it up. We're not going to eat any of this food. It's going to be for the dogs. We're going to package some of it up. It's frozen already. And then the caribou is still on the carcass. So that's why we went and got our skinning knives out. And we're going to bring it in here after we eat breakfast and get it all processed and cut up and packaged and put away for the dogs.
Okay, so I think we may have some moose meat in there too. I don't really know. It's not a great deal of meat, but we're pretty stoked about it because it's probably like at least a month or maybe more worth of raw food for the dogs, which we're ecstatic since we haven't been hunting this year, not going to do that until next year. And so freezer burnt meat, if you're not familiar with it, it basically is meat that has been altered in its taste and texture. So although it's still safe to eat for us and dogs, it's just kind of like not ideal.
Okay, so these are our first 2 pieces we're going to start working with, and we're just going to get as much meat as we can off the bone and put it in these tubs for the dogs, and then we are going to take all the bones and try to make some bone broth out of it.
Just got done. I think we're about halfway done. This is the muscle meat, the meat we took off. And I mean, I don't know how much it weighs, but it probably weighs like 30 pounds at least. And so you can tell this meat is not freezer burnt. She had said this thawed out and just asked if we wanted it, which of course we were like, heck yeah. This is gonna be our bone broth. We tried to get as much as we could off. That's a neck. There gets to be a lot of tendon, so it gets a little tricky to take all of it off, especially when it's a little bit frozen. So far, very little has gone to waste. There was a few pieces where the fat looked a little questionable and I took lymph nodes out, but we're really happy this animal got to be used almost entirely. So this is some more of the meat. I don't have a scale big enough to measure all this meat. If I had to guess,
It's probably what, 40 pounds?
yeah, probably
least?
40 at least. Yeah, so it's more than we expected. There was quite a bit of the caribou. The second one that was where the bullet had went into, so some of the meat wasn't good, but that's gonna go into the bone broth.
Now we just got to clean up, and we're going to start cooking some bone broth. So you know you're in Alaska when you're chopping your dog's frozen food up with an axe. Okay, so that's fish. And these are just some of the other random cuts of meat we got. Heart, elk, we think, and some deer. So we're just gonna put it all in this bag, and we're gonna try to just leave it outside in the snow because it's so cold it will just stay frozen since we don't have a freezer. So this already obviously has freezer burn, so it's not a concern of ours if it gets it any worse. And like we said, this is gonna be the dog's food for a while. Okay, so we're gonna take this and find somewhere with a little bit of snow and kind of pile it up around it and see if we can keep it frozen.
Okay, so while Eric's outside getting that snow ready, I'm going to put these pieces of the caribou in some bags. So in the past, when Eric has harvested deer, we usually vacuum seal our venison. Sometimes we've canned it in certain recipes. But because this is for the dogs, we are just going to kind of try and use the weather outside to our advantage since we don't have a freezer right now. And again, this is not like ideal to store it in these bags, but I assume that our dogs will go through this meat in 1 to 2 months, so it'll be fine outside most likely. This is a bag for the dogs for tonight since they haven't eaten dinner yet.
Okay, so this is ice chest number 2. And look at all this beautiful meat. This is gonna be awesome for the dogs. And we've had some warm days, but it's cooling down, and this stuff will definitely stay frozen in here. So we're not really too concerned with animals coming to eat this. Our dogs are outside a lot and we make a lot of noise, but if something does show up, I don't know, we'll deal with it then. Cool, so we're gonna, instead of, bone broth has to cook for a couple days, so instead of wasting all our propane and cooking it inside, we're gonna have a fire going for a couple days. At least that's the plan.
No, you're not hardcore. Unless you live hardcore. And the legend of the Rent was way hardcore! you got going on here?
Okay, so this is, you probably already know, but this is part of a snow plow. Anyways, we're gonna use this to get the bone broth on here on our stock pots, and that way we can still feed some wood in here. And yeah, we got it hot enough where we're gonna put them on and start boiling them, and they gotta boil for about 48 hours, so we gotta keep eye on this fire.
Okay, so now that we have had the bone broth heating up for a few hours, we're going to add vinegar. You just want to add a good splash. And the reason being is that this helps break down all the minerals and the vitamins in the bone. That's kind of a crucial step of bone broth. And we're not going to worry about these bits hanging out because by tomorrow morning they're going to be sunken down and softened into that broth.
That's if the grizzly bears don't come around tonight.
Okay, so we're gonna let this go for the next few days and we will keep you guys posted on what it looks like in 2 days.